Okay, in a previous video, we already did what is ISO. In this one, I'm gonna do shutter speed. You can see that how weird I'm moving. I'll explain why. Now you can see I can move like a normal human being. Shutter speed does two things completely different. One of them makes things look blurry. The other one makes things look sharp, frozen in time. And I'll explain why is that. Okay, so shutter speed is pretty much how long your shutter remains open when taking a picture or recording a frame. And the shutter is like a physical part of your camera. So pretty much when you press a button, it opens, and then when you let the button go, it closes. Obviously that depends on the setting that you got. The lower the number, the longer it will take to take the picture. The bigger the number, the faster it will take it. But there's certain things to take in consideration with this. So now, how the speed is measured is pretty much measured in tenths or thousandths of a second. It's like 1 over 1,000 or over 200 and such. And it goes the other way around. When you go below 1/5, it will go to seconds. Pretty much 1 second, 30 seconds. There's times that it will let you just hold it. It will be called bulb, which is pretty much just leave it hold, and when you let go, that's when it will actually take the picture. So that's something to keep in mind once again. So now, how do we actually use this? Pretty much, the higher you go, oh well, the darker it will be. The lower you go, the brighter it will be. But as you can tell, see, stuff is happening as soon as I change the speed. You see how my hand is moving weirdly? That's pretty much how it goes. Now, you can pair this with the ISO, the aperture, and any external light, and that's how you get to pretty much the golden point, the golden standard. Now, how do you know which will be the right speed for your use? If you're capturing a object that is too fast to keep up, or something that you do not want to look blurry, you make it go higher, right? You go higher, it will keep track, or it will freeze it better than when you go slower. If you want to catch motion and pretty much not frozen in time, but like look blurry, weirdly, or have you seen those landscape pictures where it's really bright outside and the water looks just blurry or like a weird thing? This is how you make it happen. Although there's more things to it, such as an ND filter, lowering the aperture, and more things like that. So remember this: slower shutter speed, blurry subject; higher shutter speed, frozen subject. That's something to keep in mind. In motorsports or any other kind of sport, the standard is usually high shutter speed, but the higher shutter speed, the lower your exposure. And that's something that, I don't know, I would rather have a lot more exposure than not exposure. I don't know if it makes sense. But some people do like lower exposure because they can bring other things from the dark rather than overblown, but that's for another topic. The point is, the higher shutter speed is mostly a standard in sports. Something to keep in mind is that fast lenses are the ones that have bigger apertures, which will let you have a better performance at night when you raise the shutter speed. Make sense? Now, there's times that you can still have a lower shutter speed and have more brightness and be able to have a good picture. The thing is this: you just gotta remain more quiet than you will usually do. If you have lower shutter speed, you have to move as least as possible because it will pretty much make your picture blurry. Now, if you go with the higher shutter speed, you don't have to worry much about it since it will freeze things for you in a good way. So that's something that you will use up to your best benefit. So yeah. Now, there's a rule of thumb for the video. It's called the 180 rule. Pretty much goes like this: if you're recording at 24 frames per second, you have to have your shutter speed 1/50, so the motion can look more natural, more realistic. Then if you're shooting at 30, you will pretty much go 60. If you're shooting 120, you will do 240 and such. Just keep that in mind. When you're recording, remember to change the shutter speed accordingly. Just duplicate your frames per second. Now, for other kind of pictures, such as motorsports, which I like a lot, one thing that you can do is, instead of, let's say, lowering your aperture to make things look blurry behind the subject, if it's moving, just do the panning motion. You move with it, and then it will look blurry. You just lower your shutter speed, pan, and then the background will look blurry. It will show more speed, and it will make it look nicer. And it's a really nice technique that you can use for those things. It's used in other sports, but it's a little bit more complicated since some of those sports are not easy to track. While, for instance, when you're doing motorsports like drifting or just endurance racing or whatever kind of motorsport, you can actually track your subject for longer periods rather than, let's say, basketball. You can, but it might be a little bit more complicated, I might say. And that's how beneficial shutter speed can be on the blurrier end. There's another rule of thumb when you're doing handheld, is that, for instance, if you are shooting in a 50 millimeter, you do 1/50. If you're shooting on a 200 millimeter, you do 1/200. The thing is that this will help you prevent more blurry footage when doing handheld, since it's kinda the rule that they say. But if your lens has image stabilization, or your camera does, you can play more risky than other people, because the camera is doing it for you in a way. So just keep that in mind. That's the rule of thumb for those. So now that you know how to use it, what is it, let me know down below in what you plan to use it, or if you have already used it. And remember, if you need to make it like a brighter picture while you still want to have frozen motion, just raise the ISO. I mean, if you already lowered the aperture the most that you could, and you don't want to go lower than a certain number of shutter speed, just raise the ISO. I'd rather have the picture that I want with some noise than some picture that I don't feel happy with no noise, you know? So just keep that in mind. ISO, it's okay to raise, you know? Better have the picture than no picture. That's something I would like to abide for. But yeah, hope you like it. Let me know down below if you have used this rule before, of the 180 or the one with the handheld rule. Anything else, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.